What's up, guys? Welcome to the MuseCast, episode 67, with guest Barrence Dupree from
67.
the Brown Goose, and Edensville is where I first met you back in the old days of Floyd's and stuff like that.
That's what I was gonna ask. Well, first of all, hey Barry. I mean, good to meet you. See you again.
Likewise, Dick.
I wanted to ask. I thought you were in Edensville. I was trying to remember. Was that the same? Is Brown Goose and Edensville the same group, just two iterations, or is it two completely different groups?
So it was kind of like a merger of bands in the beginning, but now like there's only one. Like I'm the only one from Edensville left, and Mike is the only one left from the Brown Goose from the beginning of the Brown Goose. He's the original founding member of the Brown Goose.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, so it was like a mixing of the bands for sure. Like we from Edensville, we took like things from our experience, and brought them to the band, and then Mike obviously had some amazing songs, and he brought those to the band, and the Brown Goose fan base as well, and then the fan bases merged, and it was a cool thing.
It's totally cool, man. Yeah, and you guys have been at this a while now. I mean, the Brown Goose has been formed and you guys are active. I just saw, I think today, you guys have dates happening like right now in a bunch of different places.
Yeah, we're actually going up to Columbus and Atlanta this weekend. Here in a couple, tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow and Saturday.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. I remember you guys from probably 2016. The group I have written on my case back here, the 86th Earth.
Yeah.
I think we played with you guys, or we were at your show in that era. That would have been 2016, 2015. And I remember you guys covered like my favorite song on the planet. You guys covered Alexis on Fire, This Could Be Anywhere in the World.
Okay, yeah, that might have been even like that 2000 and
maybe 2014, 13.
It might have been 13. Yeah, because we would have played that. That would have still been with one of the members, Ryan Schmeek from Edensville. He was playing with us at that point.
Yeah.
And that's that. I'm just aging like how long I remember you guys, and that was that was still Brown Goose. So you guys have been kicking it for 12 years, 13 years, maybe.
Yeah, I think Mike started the Brown Goose in 2011 officially. Yeah.
Wow. We're 2025. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is really crazy.
It doesn't make sense in my brain, man.
I know. I still think like, what I'm gonna do when I get all grown up, and I'm like, oh dang.
Yeah.
I totally, dude. I'm still every day. There's a new goal, a new thing, and it's like
I'm gonna get good at this over time, and then then I'll be old.
That's the thing. It's like I like have to kind of choose which. I can't do everything. I realize like that I'm interested in pursuing. I've got to kind of like choose which ones are gonna be at the top to take up that time suck that I love doing. But if I could, I would do it all. But,
absolutely. And that's like that's really like what keeps us all like young.
Yes.
Just that drive, that thirst for the challenge, and in a way, I feel, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of people that don't ever necessarily find that or give it up at a much younger age, and I think that, not to pick on them, but I do think you're right. This is what keeps you young.
Yeah.
I have a fridge.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, even if it weren't music or film or whatever, totally. Like it were like carpentry or something, but you just like, we're like, oh man, I want to learn this new way to cut wood or whatever, like I'm gonna really do it on this next house, and then you just keep whatever it is. But for us, it is this, so that's beautiful and a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I keep looking up this way, but you guys are over here.
You look wherever you want to look. It gets complicated. we've had episodes where we're looking in opposite directions and everything, just talking to the walls. But dude, you're set up. Where are you at now? You were starting to tell me this before the podcast. Where are you at? What's this room?
Yeah, actually, it's funny. It's called What Studios. What Studios?
What?
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Correct.
What? Nice. I want to be in that room with you right now.
Yeah, it's a really cool room. It's George Clinton's studio.
Okay.
All right.
This is like where I work, my day job. Like out of here, I can work from anywhere really. I can work from my laptop, but
in this day,
like I run the studio for George Clinton.
That's awesome, man. Is Dwayne still in and out of there? Bass player Dwayne
Dungy?
Yeah.
Well, he's still in Tallahassee. Yeah. I mean, like once family, always family, of course,
Yeah.
He's amazing. I learned so much in this very room, in fact, from Dwayne.
That's awesome. Such a nice guy. I haven't seen him in years, but I heard he's still around.
Yeah. He's got a band too. He plays out sometimes. He's the front man for it.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, funk rock band. Kills it, dude. He's awesome. I remember the first time I seen him. It's actually been quite a few years ago now, like probably like 5-6 years ago now. But more recently, and I'd never seen him perform ever. And he was up at Fire Betty's, the old Fire Betty's. That's Dukes and Dotties now.
Yep, I've been in there.
Killing it, But I mean, he toured with George Clinton for like probably like 20 years or something like that. So he saw amazing stuff like all over the world,
So cool.
Yeah.
So you get people pretty regular in the studio in there tracking?
For the most part, we do mostly like in-house stuff for George's label and for George himself, and George does like a lot of features on stuff. Or we get artists that are trying to get George, the features. Artists will come in here and get George to record on their album. Like Kendrick Lamar came here.
Wow.
He's like right here.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Like right here. And George was in the booth in there.
What an experience.
There's a really amazing Afro funk artist or Afro-Cuban funk artist named Sima Funk. He won a couple Grammys for, I guess, maybe like Latin music or something. A couple years ago, this album that George is on, he came here. George just recently went to Cuba with him. It was kind of cool. He got to go to Cuba like on an educational type trip. That's how it was like, sanctioned or whatever. But he said it was like amazing, just like the old cars and,
Oh, right. That's a whole thing there. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like all they have. And people, he said that people on the sidewalks, they're not selling like hot dogs. They're selling car parts.
No way.
Keeping them going.
Wow.
Yeah, man. It's like it's stuck in like a certain era, right? Like all the cars are from like a one point in time where they were regularly brought in, and then it just stopped.
And then it just stopped, and then they've been like, yep, we're cool. We can get by with this, I guess. Seems like they're thriving.
I'm all about it. My newest vehicle that I drive is from 2000, so it's 25 years old.
Nice, still going. What is it?
Yeah. It's my son's XJ, Jeep XJ, one of the square body Cherokees, and then my other car is a 99 Wrangler, a couple of Jeeps, straight 6 4.0. They last forever, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's that board you're sitting in front of there? You were starting to tell us that before the show too.
Oh yeah. This is a Neve. I think it's from like 1989, 1990. And it's called a VRP -72, but that's because it's 72 channels. But you can bust it down into little 12 channel sections. It looks like
that's so awesome. It's 72 channels.
72 channels, yeah.
Unfathomable.
Yeah. So it was originally designed as a film like a film post-production console and a TV broadcast console. And it was in some studio in the BBC in England. And it was like built into that room by this guy. And then at some point they sold it to some studio in California, and it was there for a while, and then it made its way to Nashville, and then George bought it, and it got here, I want to say maybe like 2007-ish. Maybe when they installed it.
So then it's been there for almost 20 years in that room.
Yeah. And we don't get to, use it to its full potential, all the time. Most of the time we just record through the outboard rack anyway. We got some preamps in there. And it's just like not as hot. This thing, you could fry eggs on it.
Oh yeah.
That's what I mean. That's what I hear for
this close to it, and you're just like bacon.
Man, I didn't even think about that. That's interesting.
Yeah. Anybody listening who isn't familiar with it, the name Neve is a gentleman named Rupert Neve, who is basically the pioneer of microphone preamps, like one of the pioneers. And some like Neve consoles, like what Rupert's sitting in front of, are very rare, very high end, very, very coveted and sought after. I mean, it is a bigger deal than it appears that there's a Neve console sitting in front of Mr. Dupree there. then your average person might think, oh, he's got a 24 channel mixing board sitting there. Like, well, it's a little more than that.
That's cool, man.
I can feel the devotion. They will try to subdue our motion with no emotion, silenced emotions. In my eyes, can you see my soul? It still burns as it's growing old. You can't lock my mind in a prison. No freedom without a vision.
And this actually brings up a question. So one of the things that popped in my head, because we don't see each other often at all. We run into you like once every few years or something. But we had Kyle Aligood on here from Gasoline Alley Studios, and your captain speaking and all that. And then in our talk with him, he brought up one of the songs that he worked on with you guys, which was your last single.
Yeah.
Right, Lonely Sea.
Yeah.
Is that the full name of it? Sea of Lonely. My bad.
Yeah. No.
Get it right, Ash.
He was talking about how, I know I'm a shithead, but he was talking about how much you guys spent, how many days you spent on that one song, like doing it right. Like you guys spent several days just working on one song versus his normal situation there of having to kind of help people get, entire songs recorded in a day oftentimes. Yeah. And just like, we really did it right. And then I was like, well, I got to check out, I know some of these guys, I got to check out the song. And I listened to it and I will say it did make a difference, man. It's a step above the other stuff that I've heard with Kyle as far as like the punchiness and the overall quality. I mean, the recording came out great, but I'm looking at you here in front of this board, and it makes me wonder: did you already have some tracks recorded that you had brought in, or how did you end up at Gasoline Alley for it?
No, well, like sometimes, like it's or I'd say oftentimes it's like you do your best work when you can just do the creative part of it. You know what I'm saying?
I totally know what you're saying. Yeah.
But really and truly, the biggest reason was because him and Mr. Charlie, who owns Gasoline Alley,
Charlie Roberts.
The idea they wanted to record a song with us.
Oh, cool.
And so they asked us to do it.
Okay.
All and right. Then so we were like, we're going to do whatever they ask us to do. And Kyle was like, that's how I want to record the song. And we're like, all right, cool. Let's do it. So did he tell you how we did it?
No, I'd love to know more about it. All I know is you guys spent a few days working on it.
So it was a pretty dope experience. So we went
in. Great song, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think you guys did a great job with it. It's a great composition.
Thank you. It's a fun song to play too, especially like with the gang vocals and stuff when we'd been doing that live for a minute. I remember the first time we did it, we'd been playing the song, but we didn't have the gang vocal part, and we're like on the way to a show, and I can't remember who came up with the idea, but someone was, I was probably Mike, I imagine, but they're like, what if on this part we just all kind of go oh, and we're like, yeah, okay, cool. So we kind of did in the car, and we're like, okay, cool. So we go to play it in the show, and we were, like you come up with an idea in the car, you're like 50-50 on if you're going to actually remember to do it. But we did remember to do it. And I remember like it hit. I think it was I think we might have did it. Might have also been at the sound check too. But I remember it hit. And so, and just like right the way the first time, and it was like, oh man, this song is really fun. That's
great. That's great.
But so we had a way we'd been playing it. We'd been playing it for probably like 2 years, like at shows, but hadn't recorded it, and we'd started kind of recording it, and then we decided we needed to speed it up, and then we just kind of never got around to doing it again, because we just were busy with a bunch of stuff. And so we went in there and we played it the way we play it. Boom, he recorded it. We're all in the all in the room. Everybody's like isolated. They're on like their guitars are direct, my bass is direct. We're just in the room with Jonathan, and then Mike's actually in a separate room singing. And but he's got his guitar just directing through like an amp modeler kind of thing or something,
Okay.
Or no, I remember what it was. Yeah. They got to plug into their heads, but their heads plugged into this box. Instead of it being a speaker, it was like some sort of direct box, but off the speaker signal, as opposed to like out of the back of the amp. Like
I've seen those. I forget. It's like I forget what it's called, but you plug your amp in. It gives you a direct out too, and then you can also run to a cab. It's like it's a split, like a splitter box. Yeah,
but from the power signal, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like out of the separates power. Yeah, but so they did that, I remember, and then I just plugged just into a direct box with the the bass, but and we played through the song, and then like to the click, we play to a click live, so we're pretty like used to it.
You? Yeah.
Super simple setup. We'll just do it off Jonathan's cell phone, and then and then it goes to a mute pedal. So if something goes awry, you can just click the mute pedal and stop. It won't stop it.
It just turns it off. Yeah. Then you guys swing the rest of it. Yeah. That makes sense. Smart.
And it works. Yeah, it works pretty good. So we played through it. We listened to it, and he's like, "Oh, this is great." He's like, "But what if just hear me out here. We take this whole part and move it to this other part in the song, and then take this whole part and like break it down, so like instead of coming out, like we used to come out of the solo right into the gang vocal, and then he's like, maybe we should come out of the solo and just like stop it on them, and so we do this like little vocal part, and it's like boom, just like long chords, just the hit like.
And I'm sorry, whose idea was that? Whose idea was that?
Kyle Aligood.
Kyle thought of
he was just he just kind of came in instead of like recording the song and then editing it, and then then that's your song or whatever.
Right.
We were going in there, and then we'd have an idea, then we'd go back in and play the song with the new idea, like off the cuff. And maybe it'd take us a couple times or something like that. But a lot of them we were just playing like one time. All right, go back in and listen. All right, well, now what if we also did this? So I think he came up with like 5 changes in that first day.
Wow.
Of the arrangement of the song. And I think it was like collective too. I think we were coming up with ideas once he kind of was thinking stuff. It like the juices flowing. And then so by the end of the day, we had played it through in this like new, total crazy, completely different way. But still somewhat similar. And we had the song. And then so the next day we came in and pretty much just recorded drums.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think so. Maybe we recorded some guitars and bass, but maybe not. I can't remember. I can't remember how many days we did it at first. I think it was just 2 days. And then we came in and finished some stuff up on another 2-day thing. And then it was just mixing and just like little stuff after that. Like we realized at one point down the road we needed more layers, like texture for the guitars. So we wanted to record them like they was just kind of like too clean. And so we wanted to muddy it up a little bit. So, like we recorded like the same thing, but on just like, distorted guitars.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, but
give it some grit.
Also the style of playing was purposefully like a little bit like more, instead of like so tight and technical on some stuff, it was like meant to be,
Yeah.
At that point,
that's important.
At that point, when you guys decided that you wanted to add that dirt to it, did you have like a rough copy that you took home and were trying it out on like car stereo, AirPods, and then it's like, this is consistently missing this element?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's crazy because what happened for me, because I remember that was one thing I was like, hey, you guys, I think we should maybe see if we can talk to Kyle and go back in and record some more guitars. Is because George was doing a feature here at the studio for this Japanese artist. The artist wasn't here, but it's a rock guy named Miyavi. I don't know if you guys are hip to him. You should check him out. It's Miavi. Miyavi. He's like Japanese, but he's like American too. Like I think he's born in America or something. Like he splits his time between LA and Japan supposedly, but he sings in English. And very cool. Like kind of like or the song that we worked on at least was like sort of Muses in some ways to me, like with the vocal effects they were using and
cool.
Anyway, but I was listening to that and I was like, oh, there's a shitload of layers of guitar on this motherfucker. So is that cool?
Yeah. We curse on here. Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And then so like I was experimenting with some other song I was working at my house, and I layered the guitars a little bit more, and I was like, oh, now it sounds way better. And so then I was like, we should probably try this. And then Kyle had a lot of good ideas for how to set the tones, and Gio and Mike can set their guitar amps. Like they got great ears for that.
Awesome.
So that's awesome. I think it's really, really cool that everyone in the band, it sounds like, was really, really open and perceptive to arrangement, working on the arrangement. Sounds like you spent day one just toying around with different arrangements and trying it different ways. And from what I'm hearing, like it sounds like everybody's really, really positive about that. That's not always the case. It's pretty
absolutely
cool. It is
absolutely true. And we talked about it beforehand in a way, but everybody was. It's like we talked about it, but we were already all on the same page, which is awesome. That's one thing that's really cool about the Brown Goose. We all get along really well, and we all understand each other. We've been playing together for so long now.
That's probably why, right?
So many places. It's like you're jamming in real life sometimes a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, just hearing that you guys could think of an idea on the car drive over and just kind of add it in, and then you guys have played for so long together. You have to be able to get along to stay together that long, especially.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's hard staying in a band. I mean, it can be. It's most definitely hard if there's oftentimes a little bit somebody in the band that's challenging, or if you guys start dividing between yourselves. And people get passionate about their parts. Absolutely. I remember, I mean, especially in that first time period in Kill Clouseau, I mean, I remember being stingy about wanting to not change some shit that I spent 2 weeks figuring out, like being able to play it. Like, no, we're not going to change it. I got this down, man. Like,
so Ash, hear me out. Let's try. Now, It sounds good. Let's try.
If it's anything more than playing it longer or shorter, I'm out.
Yeah.
We can add more times of it playing, or we can play it less, but we're keeping the part the same. That being said, I mean, I would bend, but every year I got better at being able to do that as you become more mature musician that can, adapt. And then it's the best, because when you're first starting, there's bands that come out with great songs, and there is something about the young spirit that has that originality flavor to a lot of music, and they make some of the most innovative stuff that sets the tone for the next genre and style of music. A lot of that happens with bands that are in their early 20s and stuff, but you have to think a lot of those bands at first, they're not necessarily the most mature musicians. Some of those guys have only been playing a few years, right? And they're going to grow so much more, but it's proof that this was a topic we touched on in the last episode, MuseCast, Dick. Just you don't have to be the best musician to come up with amazing music.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. That's absolutely true. And some of the best, like, I'm sure some of the best songs that are written out there are done by people that may not know music from at like a technical level at all.
Yeah.
They just feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
How many of the greatest songs ever written feel like they were just some person who picked up an instrument and figured out 3 chords and just worked it well. I mean, I learned a song tonight that I really like, and of course, when I figured it out, it's a simple song to start with, but it was simpler than I had thought, where the verse is the same progression as the chorus, is the same progression as the bridge, but what changes it is the vocal melody over top of it that makes it sound so much different as it carries through from the different parts.
Yeah.
But it's simple.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's one thing that I've been like really like kind of like realizing a lot more lately. And and especially like after doing that recording there, like I the same was when I was younger, like stingy with the parts, no, this is what I meant to say. I don't want to change my lyrics. I don't want to adapt. This is my art, right? But lately I've been working here in the studio with our other engineer and like co-producer and stuff. Here he works with George all the time. He's written several songs that we've put out, with George. His name's Ricky Tan, and me and him have been working here in the studio together for like since 2011. And
wow,
awesome.
And then really heavily since 2014, so almost the same time, right? Like 11 years now, I guess. But we'd never made music together. We'd worked on music together. We worked on all sorts of music. We worked on some everything that George works on, including but one of the big projects was we did. Have you ever Mike Judge?
Yeah.
Mike Judge, Beavis and Butthead, Mike Judge?
Yeah, Mike Judge, yeah.
Yeah.
So he had this show on Cinemax called Tales from the Tour Bus. Okay. And there was the second season was all about funk and R&B. The first season was all about outlaw country. And they interview all these people from music history, or whatever. Yeah. Like they had a whole episode about George. Awesome. So they interview George and all these people that know George. And then they film the interviews, and then they do the Mike Judge, King of the Hill, Beavis and Butthead animation of the whole thing.
Cool.
And then so they're telling the story, and then all of a sudden the animation is the story, and then you see George just sitting there in the chair, and it looks like George looked in they filmed it like that, but we got to P-Funk recorded like a bunch of jams for it, and we did it in Nashville at this like really dope studio in Nashville. That was set up for bands and stuff. I don't know if it's still there. It's called the Tracking Room, but it's super dope. Like all the biggest country shit in the 90s that like was playing when we were kids. I don't know if you listened to country or not, but it was like all recorded at this studio. Wow. It was crazy. And so we recorded there, and then we brought the tracks back here, and then we edited like these long jams into just these little short songs. Me and Ricky did. And that was like the most creative thing we'd really done until this last summer. We just started working on all this pop music. He was just
cool.
I was working on this one song, like kind of like rock song at the house, and I showed him a part. He was like, "Hey man, I think you should just like break it down here and just have these claps and do something with the melody or something, you know, just like this part." And so I did it. I brought it back to him, and he was like, "Oh damn, this is like crazy." He's like, "That was like exactly what I was thinking of." He was like, I'm gonna write a song that we're gonna work on." So he brought me this song. It's like this synth bass line and just like a drum loop, and like he was just like, just do just listen to what I'm saying and just do it, you know, just don't worry about it. And so he was having me do all sorts of stuff way outside the box, like Prince-ish, you know.
Wow.
And like, so
do you mean vocally or guitar wise?
Vocally. Yeah, and then we did a bunch of guitar stuff on it too.
Okay,
but yeah,
cool.
vocally.
Very.
So
where's the song?
Oh yeah, you'll hear it soon.
Cool.
Excellent.
But no, we got like about 5 songs now, and so we're like touching on all sorts of crazy pop stuff, like Prince, Michael Jackson, Justin Timberlake.
I'm really interested to hear this, man. That sounds exciting.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It's important to step outside your zone, like step outside your box sometimes, right? And
absolutely
and collaborate. And that's how you grow. And you're gonna instead of being closed minded, like I'm a metal guy, right? And a lot of metal guys are, no offense, they're kind of closed minded. They don't like anything but their metal, and you know, and that's all they want to do. But learn some Prince, do some pop stuff, and then that stuff music transcends everything, and it's going to make everything else you do after this that much more interesting, right?
Absolutely
For sure.
That's well said. Said. That's
I can't wait to hear it. What's it? Is there a name for? Do you have like a group name for
so
it?
me and Ricky we have a writing team that we're calling Barrence Dupree.
Okay.
And so that's just like a harken back to like some like Motown era songwriting team, like Holland Dozier Holland is a big one that wrote a lot of hits for Motown back in the day. So we got, that's our name. And then I don't know about album name or artist name fully yet.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for all that.
That's cool, man. That's
gonna be
so
killer.
Great. That's great. Yeah, we've the last thing that, I don't know if you've gotten to check out any of the Key of the Muses stuff, like some of the releases on it, but we went with Brett Hessla is an awesome. He's so good at recording rock, man. He really was able to just elevate. Like I've been to a couple of different studios. Lee Dias, awesome, lovely.
Yeah, we worked with Lee on our last album, the Brown Goose did.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
I did Applehead recording with the producers of Coheed and Cambria, so there was that sound that was in Woodstock.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
And you guys didn't Edensville. You guys opened up. We had you guys participate in our CD release show at Floyd's, I believe.
Yeah. You guys were wearing the white suits, right?
Yeah, because we had just released the music video,
I was there for that one. I remember that.
Yeah. That was epic.
That was fun, man. There was so much in the air. We thought we were going to get so much help that we didn't get to. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you know. But it's cool. Yeah, you guys were amazing. Like I remember that was some big time.
Thanks,
that was a lot of fun. That was a great era.
It was so fun. But, we came back with it was a beautiful era, and it set the tone for a lot of the rest of where I've taken my life. But, as far as the recording quality that we got out there, it was great. It was cool. But the song writing, I played a pretty big hand in the song composition stuff of Kill Cluso. A lot of the songs started with like kind of guitar, a lot. Yeah, like a lot of times it was like almost a whole song that I would write, and then we'd build around that. So so there was this consistency of like just not getting to hear. I always wanted the songs to be really, really big sounding, like epic, not just. Because it's that kind of music, right? Like it's trying to have these big crescendos and stuff. Not everything's like that. That's just the kind of thing I like. I'm so inspired by Tool and stuff. But Brett, the way that he recorded it in particular, I feel like that was the big missing experience, And I guess also teaming up with Dick, because I had never played with another guitar player too. So that was a whole different thing.
So never?
Yeah, he had written another song with another guitar player.
He had never played. He'd
Yeah,
never
all it
played with
said was
another
just
guitar
one
player.
guitar. Yeah.
Dang.
And
Was
I
Smoke
remember-
So your first band?
It was my fourth band, but my first band that actually the first band that actually performed a live show. Right, so it was like the first band.
That's
and
your
we
first.
were together
That's
for
your
10
first
years,
real band,
right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
your
That
first-
was it. That was it. You know,
Yeah.
we brought on a keyboard player for the second album, and that was it. So that was kind of the closest thing I'd had to playing with, like, writing a song with another person that would take that frequency band, you know, share that with me and the vocals, where we're like kind of, and it worked cool. You know, we all agree that there was a little more key action than we wanted. I can say this because that keyboard player is never going to hear anything I say again, I guess. I haven't been able to get in touch with him for years. I've reached out to him. So he's not going to hear this. We all thought too much keys.
That reconnects you guys.
Dude, you played too many keys. So that second album just had too many keys on it. We wanted it more rocking than it came back. But with the second guitar, getting to team up with Dick and that whole writing collaboration, the way we stemmed off of each other, the recording quality is what we came out of it with is, for me, the best music I've been a part of getting to make. And so it's really, but it's just, I bring it up because it's just so interesting how every factor of putting together the music that you come up with makes such a different end result, from who you're collaborating with, where you're at in your life and your songwriting and where you want to take it. And then who you go and record with is just, it's a massive difference in what you're going to sound like. I've heard bands go sound one way and then go to another, recording engineer and literally just sound like another band, and in some cases, unfortunately, sound exactly like every other band, and lost their sound.
Yeah,
like it's like a one-trick pony of a sound engineer, and they didn't cater to that band.
Well, and I feel like sound engineers too color the bands with their own sound. Like, the band that you really like right now, that I really like too, House of Protection. So I went down the rabbit hole with House of Protection, and their recordings are done by the keyboard player from the band Bring Me the Horizon, and his name is Jordan. I can't remember the last name. His name is Jordan, and he also has he's done House of Protection recently, and he's also done the latest couple of Architects released, the band Architects.
Okay.
And he has a sound, man. You and I were talking about this in person last weekend about that House of Protection just kind of has this big punchy sound, and I'm realizing that they that's their sound, but it's because I hear it in Jordan. They did a cameo with Architects. And it's like, it's what he's doing. Like, he's got something figured out. And that's kind of like the magic of being an engineer or producer too. Like, you generate your own, get bands who come to you sometimes who just want that.
You cut out for just a second. Oh,
sorry. Am I back now?
You're back.
Yeah, you're back.
What sentence?
Well, so sometimes as an engineer, you'll develop your own sound, and then you'll get bands who want to come to you because they want that sound. Yeah. And sometimes that means that a band will end up sounding, a lot like another band, and it doesn't work. And that's where, like, the engineer's job is to have their color on it, but to also let the band feel like themselves and sound like themselves. I like what Brett says. Brett says, when you come in here, I want to record you so it sounds like you just played the best show, the best set of your career, like, and it's on tape. Like that's his goal. And it's I love his little tip where any singer I've ever heard, he tells them, "Are you okay? You all right? Try smiling when you do the note. Try smiling when you hit it. Smile and you'll get it." And they do. I'm like, what does that even do? How does that even mean? It just makes me happy and you do it.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. I tell people that all the time. Like,
smile.
Yeah. Just smile on that note. Yeah, it'll work. Yeah, because a lot of times people are hitting it flat. You smile and you're just like you lift up your face, so you're just gonna naturally, like, it's just gonna naturally pull you up. I learned it in choir actually. And like if you're constantly thinking sharp, just kind of like try to like grab your belt, something like that.
Little tips, little tips. That's cool. So you took choir in school. I was in choir.
In high school for 3 years. Totally randomly. Like I had been in band before. Like I didn't like desire to be in choir. Like at first, like it wasn't something I ever had thought of. But I knew the choir teacher because I'd worked on some plays in junior high, and she was taught at our junior high too, and so she just knew me, and she saw me in the hall. And she's like, "Come in here. Can you sing this note?" She like hit a note, and I could sing it, and then she hit another note, and I could sing that note. She's like, "You're good enough to be in choir. You should be in choir instead of band." And I was like, all right, whatever.
Cool.
Did you feel like did you consider yourself able to sing, or did she point that out to you?
Well, no. Well, like when I was like growing up, like maybe like 9, 10, 11, 12, in there, like all like that part of my childhood, pre-adolescence, adolescence, beginning of adolescence, I guess. My stepdad used to play acoustic guitar. And like sometimes he like drink some beer and play acoustic guitar and be like, "Come over here, sing this song," and it'd be like an Eagles song or something. I'd been hearing him on the radio, everything like that all the time. So I knew the songs and stuff. And my his sister would come over sometimes, and she could sing. She actually lives here in Tallahassee, I think. But I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska. She used to live up there. And that's where they're all from here, though, originally, his family. And so that's how I learned how to sing originally. Wow. And so I could kind of sing. So I already knew, like, and I'd sing with the radio, belt it out. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah. See, I used to sing with the radio growing up. And then, I mean, the whole time. And I knew nothing. Absolutely nothing about music. It was an epiphany to me when I was, I guess, 16 and started learning guitar. And I learned that when you're singing, that you'd actually, you'd be singing in a key. Like, you'd have to stay in the key that I was like, there's a key? Like, oh, it's all supposed to be in. I didn't even know. I was so bad. I mean, that's why you sound terrible, because that's all in a key, dude.
It's real life. And when you're young, like I didn't have any like training either. I didn't take band or anything in school. When you realize, you're playing this chord, but I'm way up here and it sounds good. It sounds weird good. Yeah. Why? And you're like, keep doing that. Like figuring out you're stumbling through the dark, figuring out this fun stuff when you're kids and it's all brand new and fresh. Yeah. I feel like that's part of it too with vocals, because I never sang. Like you sang when you were young. Ash, I've heard you sing before on recordings, and it sounds great. And I've been trying recently, like it's pretty good. It sounds pretty good. I've been trying recently, like, to explore the limitations and the abilities in my voice that like with screaming and hitting higher notes and finding ways to do things and using vocal compression and not tearing my vocal cords, and like find just playing really, but it's really rewarding when I'm like, oh crap, I can actually hit that note. I can't sing it very well, but I never thought I could and finding those thresholds.
That's like really the thing about it too, is stretching it, like finding those places. It's like, okay, like now I can hit the note. And then, so it's like, it gets like it's like lifting weights or something, right? You know, like you can get that weight. Now it's like now you can get it like 2 or 3 times, and then pretty soon it's just like easier for you, you know.
Yeah. And just like lifting weights, you gotta like, especially with the intense stuff, you gotta stretch.
Oh yeah, I should do that more, man. Oh yeah, mouth stretch.
Yeah.
I remember, especially in the Edensville days, I remember after shows like at Bullwinkle's or something like that, like I'd be driving home after, and I like go to yawn, and my like face would be like, feel like like my whole jaw muscle would just like seize up a little bit. That was great.
Wow.
That happens to me sometimes. Yeah, I've been worried about it, so it happens to me. Yeah. Occasionally, I'll get
like a little, like right there in the neck.
It'll like, it's just a mini stroke.
I don't know if it looks like that, but that's what it feels like.
It feels like that. I'm like, I mean, if somebody saw me during it, I would assume that it looked like I had a stroke. I was working with a guy today that I didn't know. He's like, 15 years ago, I had 2 strokes in 1 year. I was like, are you kidding me? I've known you all this time, and I never knew you had a stroke. He said, yeah. And he had to rebuild the ability. He said, I couldn't ride a bike for a year. He lost his equilibrium so badly, and he kind of forgot an entire section of stuff. And so he must have done it when he was like had the stroke when he was like 35. And I was like, and 2 strokes in 1 year. I was like, that's crazy. He was just sitting in the couch one day. That stuff can just happen. I guess I kind of took this in a left field turn, but I was just thinking that, strokes happen. It's kind of weird. How that can happen. So let's avoid those.
Yeah. Don't have those. I knew a guy growing up that Kurt Rogers used to live with a lady named Mary, whose husband had a stroke. His name was Andy, and Andy was awesome. Andy was like the nicest guy, but he had a stroke at some point before I met him. And Andy he could say 2 words. He could say, hey, and he could say, man. He could say, hey, man. Hey man, and the movie, the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, where the Groot guy, he just says 3 words, but the raccoon can understand him. Like he's actually as a language. And what I remember about this guy Andy was he could only say hey man, but his brain could think. His brain could understand what you were saying. You could tell the man washing the dishes, he's putting his clothes on, but he had this issue where his speech, he could only say 2 words, and he said them. It was way before the Guardians movies, but that's what it reminded me of.
That's an interesting reference point that helps you understand it better. So he's really conveying other information. Yeah, he's talking to you, but these are the only 2 words in his arsenal.
All he could say was "Hey man," so he go, "Hey man, hey man, hey man." And it was like talking to him was like that. He was great. He's such a nice guy. Miss Andy. He did pass away, unfortunately. It's been a while, but he was a great guy. Kurt remembers him. I'm going to bring Andy up when we get Kurt on the show.
All right. Talk about old Andy.
All right. I wanted to brighten up the stroke conversation.
That's a good way. Hey, that was a really good way.
It's a beautiful story.
Sorry.
It's interesting stuff. But where do we go from strokes?
Segue from there. So when we recorded with Brett, and I don't know, Barry, you've ever done this. You're a bass player too, right?
Yeah. So now I played guitar for many, many years, and then about like 2018, maybe I switched to bass.
Okay, because I thought I remember you being the vocalist guitar player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Now I'm more like the Bootsy Rick James.
That's right.
Except I heard George told me he's like Rick James didn't play bass. He just had a bass. They wanted to be Bootsy number 2.
They just put this bass on and put this bass on. Go up and do the thing, Rick.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So when we wrote the stuff for Cue the Muses, Ashley and I wrote it all guitar parts, and it was all guitar songs initially. So when we went up there to track, we had all these guitar scratch tracks that we'd written these songs like painstakingly, like we really labored and put love into this stuff. But it was just the 2 of us, like structure wise and melody wise up to that point. And we brought in our drummer that we hired, and we'd never played with him. We had let him hear the songs, and he had ideas about them. His name's Timbo, and he mapped them all out in his head. And when we got there, he just started slaying it. It was like
nice.
really, really impressive. Like just started like the way Brett works: guitar scratch tracks day one, drums second half of day one. Timbo knocked out all the drums. I think he did 2 tracks the first day. I picked him up from the airport, and then he did the rest of the tracks the next day. But what I'm getting at with the bass is then Ash and I laid the guitars down over the drums, and that was it. That was as far as the songs were written. They were drums and they were guitars. And then we left, and Brett wrote the bass and tracked the bass to the songs as he gave the songs the preliminary mix, to be ready for vocals, because we hadn't found any vocalists yet. We were gonna start thinking about who we wanted to be on the album. But that transformation was so impressive when we left with the guitar parts and the drums, and then as we started getting these mixes where Brett had added the bass to it and just brought it to life in ways that we didn't expect. It was really, really fun, like really powerful engineer stuff. Like he didn't call, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah, he just delivered lines. So we went from spending a year just hearing 2 guitar scratch tracks on these 5 songs that all ran 8 to 10 plus minutes because they're long and big. And then in this one trip, we got to hear drums happen, and we come back, and before we get our mix, this other guy, Brett, puts down bass ideas to it, and then we're just hearing these like pretty great rough mixes. I mean, they really are kind of like preliminary, and we're like, whoa, this is what it sounds like with other instruments, and this is the potential. It was a really unique, crazy way to write out an album and gradually assimilate a band. And then we started giving it to different singers, and that we kind of had a list of singers to check with, and we're trying to decide which one to give to who, and should be, and it all worked out how it did, and it was just such a cool thing. We've still got 2 more completely recorded songs, and the music videos have been filmed, and 95%, 97% of the storyline for the last episode's there, and that all comes together in the last episode. But these things take like 6. For that one, it's going to be roughly, because it's 2 music videos plus the story stuff, it'll be around 6 months of editing in for the video part of it to make that last chapter. And it's just so hard to do that for no pay. No money coming. It's so hard
for
to
the love.
like that. For the love. And I will do it. I'm going to do it, but it's as I can do it kind of thing. It's tough.
It is, but like that's what makes us, artists and musicians, producers, engineers, whatnot. It's been quite a ride for all of us. Yeah.
And I feel like it's still just going. I mean, in a way,
absolutely. It's just getting started.
Because dude, like the position you're in and what you're working on right now, the 5 songs you just talked about that you're working on with Tan, and it's kind of like as you get older, you also then have more, and especially with how things have changed with technology. And distribution and access to everything, and like it's crazy. We can make more now than we could have back when we were 20, and we were only able to really kind of in a way just play that live experience, and then it's done. It's like it vaporizes right as it's over. It's so cool to be able to make these tangible things that we'll have for the rest of our lives in that era of our lives.
But I can't, no matter how hard I try, turn it down, turn it down, turn it down, turn it down. Do they even care? If I'm secure,
look at you sitting next to this board and everything, and getting to work with the different artists and the influences. It's really, really cool. We've kind of arrived at these points.
I've been like the last couple years touring with George as well. I've been
Really?
like as the stage manager, and then running monitors for the band.
Wow.
That's been.
And where has that taken you? Where have you been going?
Yeah, where have you been?
Well, I just like here I mean, all over the US, like everywhere all over the US.
Nice.
But then we went to Canada last summer, to just north of Toronto, to some casino up there, like in the country, like where like Letterkenny is from or something, like filmed. It's like way out in the country, or Trailer Park Boys or something, you know. But it was so awesome. People were obviously wonderful. And then we played in Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada, right? It's their DC. And that was really neat, because it's like, it looks like you're in Europe or something. Like the buildings all looks like crazy. It was really pretty. And then I got to go to Japan last September.
Oh, wow.
And that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then there's talk of doing some more stuff this year. It's not confirmed yet, so I'm not going to say it, but but it's going to be pretty cool though. I can talk about the summer tour, where the spring tour, I guess it's the end of April through the end of May, and it's just it's like some on the West Coast, kind of some on the East Coast, but it's really just like DC and above, and then the Midwest. Or that's backwards for you guys, but you know.
I'm with you.
Yeah, man.
I got you.
That's gonna be fun though.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah.
So is that like with Clinton at this point? Are the shows spaced out? It's not back-to-back nights of shows.
Oh no. There's some total back-to-back nights. There's times last summer. There were times where I remember we were in Chicago for like several days, just chilling at this one hotel by the airport. Super, like, it's nice hotel though. But I was like sick the whole time, so I never got to like take the train into the city or anything. But it's cool that we were there. I'd rather be sick in the hotel than on the bus. But then our bus call was like at midnight. The last night we were there, so we got on the bus and then rode to Kansas City overnight. Woke up at the venue. And then had to, start doing the thing, setting up, And last summer I was like we brought our own console and split snake. So like, I was like having to mic everything up and stuff. I don't have to do that all the time, but a lot of the time last summer we did that. So we had to do it at this venue, and it was like hot as hell. So we do this, play the show. There's no showers anywhere in the building, so you couldn't take a shower. Then we get back on the bus, and then we drive to Denver, and we wake up in front of the venue and got to do the thing. Except I didn't have to bring in the board at that one, but they do have showers at the Denver venue. It's a really beautiful. So I took a nice shower there.
Kind of the luck of the draw.
Yeah. So I mean, it's cool. It's definitely so cool. It's a lot more tiring than I thought that it would be. Like even with
I can imagine. Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's an amazing experience. I'm glad that I've gotten the opportunity. Hell
yeah.
And it's I learned a lot over the last 2 years though about running monitors, and because they have 15 different monitor mixes on the stage, so you're like mixing for 15 different people. And then you like switch, okay, this person, switch that person,
Is everyone using stage monitors or in-ears?
We got 3 of them on in-ears right now, but then there's stage monitors. Like all the horn players have a separate mix. Then you have your downstage center mix, which is because you have different vocalists switching out microphones, being lead on stuff, and it's all coming out of downstage center. And then you have your backgrounds, they have a mix. Then your keyboard player has a mix, your bass player has a mix, your drummer has a mix. And then 2 of the guitar players are on in-ears, and then George has in-ears. But he has them in and takes them out, has them in and takes them out. So,
okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty common with vocalists, right? Sometimes, I think vocalists, sometimes they need that one, at least one ambient ear.
Yeah, I use I usually just have one in when I'm singing on stage. With the Brown Goose. But the other day in practice, we were practicing. The Brown Goose was, and we didn't bring our amps in or anything. We just had our little like Digitech, or not Digitech, Soundcraft digital mixer. Yeah. And the first two channels on it have amp modeling. So we just plugged Mike and Geo into those. And then we just, it's already hooked up to our in-ears. We got it like, that's what we take to all our shows and stuff. And so we just did that, plugged the kick mic and the overhead mic in, and I just, plugged my bass into it. And we had like almost completely quiet practice. If we had electronic drum set, it would have been 100% quiet practice.
Yeah. How did it feel?
Island disco band practice.
Was it cool?
It was cool. It worked out. I recorded some of it. And of course, like the guitars you can record on this little, it's called a UI-24. It's a little rack mount 20 channel, or it's got 20 mic inputs. It says it's 24 channel, but I mean, I guess they're including a couple other things that you don't know.
They cheated to get that number. Yeah, it's like
they just want to 24. Yeah.
USB playback is 2 channels, and then the RCA is 2 channels. That's probably what it is. But it's still 20 mic pre's, so that's good. Yeah. And yeah, you can just plug a USB into it and record multi-track right off of it.
That's so cool, awesome. Man.
So it's awesome. You can record your whole show. We do it all the time. Just to like listen back, get ideas.
Absolutely.
I don't know the name of the live board, but the board that Shane and Andrew have at Legacy is like a common board. Shaggy runs it, and you could do that. I've done it with core practices there, like when the venue's closed. And so
talking about what Shaggy uses up at the bar.
Yeah, up at Legacy. I think so. It's one of those boards. It's got a digital display. It's the monitor board and it's the front of house. It's combo. But I can give him a USB stick and he can plug it in and get the whole mix.
Nice.
It's so good for because I practice with those guys like once a month at best. So when we're up there, to get the best of it, I hand Shaggy that the USB stick and say, hey, I need to get to practice, and just hits go, and he gets the whole thing, all of Jason's burps and farts and stuff in between songs.
Nice.
Everything. It's fun. But it's
Dick has to travel in. That's why he only gets to practice with them so infrequently.
Yeah, I live down on the Space Coast now. I'm still a Tallahassee musician. All my brothers and bands are based in Tallahassee, and my career took me down here.
Okay.
Yeah, and so after I had a couple meetings today, and my career might take me a little closer to home, probably Daytona, and maybe some Gainesville. I'm gonna stay, but I'm here till my kids are out of high school. I got 2 teenagers. So,
yeah. Oh yeah. You got to do that. That's awesome though. That's cool. I mean, what's a little drive?
No, it's beautiful. It's Florida's beautiful. It's not. It's all interstate. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you guys will be opening up for Seven Dust this month.
Seven Dust on the 26th.
3 weeks out. Yeah. 20 days from now, you'll be at Club LA Seven Dust.
Cool.
At John's place.
Club LA.
I know, it's the best. It's my favorite venue in Florida, minus, sorry, Shane and Drew about Legacy, but Club LA is the best. It's Floyd's on the beach. It's so cool. Yeah. Brad's there running the lights.
We played there a couple times. I'm trying to think. I think we opened for Non-Point there one time. That was
cool,
that was interesting show too, because I believe that Hunter Dawes played bass. And he never played bass with the Brown Goose except for that show. He just filled in. And I think that, what's his name? Nate. Damn, I can't remember his name. Anyway, this other kid, this really great drummer. Never played with us, just practiced with us one time. And it was like this, the show had come up last minute. So the bass player that we had and the drummer couldn't make it.
Wow.
And then the keyboard player we had was pretty new, but we pulled it off. But the Brown Goose and Non-Point, they just I remember someone saying like we played like Courthouse or something, and then someone just goes, "Fuck you, play something heavy." You know.
I told you it's those metalheads that don't like nothing else, man.
Yeah, so we came, with one of our like harder rock songs, still kind of like, like heavy Skinnered or something, but they dug that. So,
yeah,
right on.
We pulled it off. That was such an interesting combo. We used to get in some interesting combos back in the day, especially playing. Chris Godwin used to bless us with being able to open for so many cool bands, but we didn't fit any of the bands necessarily, but we had a blast. Nonpoint was one of those bands there too, I believe.
I think they came to his place a couple times back in the day.
Yeah. Super Bob, we played with them a lot.
Oh,
Super Bob
I played with
fun.
Super Bob.
We were talking about them.
We sounded so different than them, but they were cool. Their band was always so nice to everybody, We played with Super Bob
cool.
at Edensville, played with Super Bob, I think at the Down Below.
Yeah.
Under Barnacle Bills back in the day.
Wow.
That
Super
was
Bob played there. I played.
That was the place, man. That was the place. That was so fun down there. Barbara was working the bar, and you would rent it out. The bands would rent it out and just run the door. And it was just about the only place you could really make money. Well,
the warehouse back when it existed.
Yeah, that was
we had
another
some
one.
really successful. We made the most money at the warehouse as an original band. That doesn't. If you throw in covers, you can make a lot more money. But as an original act, getting to run the night of shows, we consistently made the most money there, and it was so fun. I loved the warehouse. That was really. Other than Floyd's,
it's had so many of the all the dope venues that we used to play at are gone.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever play at Late Night Library, Dick?
I was at Late Night Library a couple times. I never played there.
I never played there either. I remember I went to Seven Dust actually there one time with Old and Presence. Remember Presence?
Oh, yeah. That would have been that show happened while I was gone. I moved to North Carolina to start a band with David. And that show happened and I had friends who were there. And it was I was like, we need to go back to Tallahassee. Why are we up here in the sticks? We got to go back home. That awesome stuff's happening.
Yeah, man. Finger 11 and they weren't the same night, and Fuel. You remember that band?
I remember that. I was at that show.
Yeah. Oh shit! That was a good show, man.
That was like Halloween. That was on Halloween.
Yeah.
That
was a great show, man.
I was dressed
was Finger 11 there that same night?
Huh?
Was Finger 11 there the same night?
Yeah, they wore the white masks.
Yes,
and then you had the overalls, like the mechanic suit or something like that.
And then Fuel was the headliner.
Yeah, Fuel was the headliner.
I forgot that was the same show. That was an impactful night for me. Man. I was very inspired by that. Yeah,
that's crazy. That was the year. That was the year 2000. Halloween, the year 2000.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So that's I was really just starting to play guitar. I mean. Yeah, well, no.
I just moved here. I just moved to Tallahassee. I moved here in August of 2000, and I'd started playing guitar when I was like 15-ish. But I could play some chords and write some silly songs or something. But and then maybe that might just end of my senior year, I started trying to learn Metallica and getting more intricate with guitar and stuff like that. And then I moved here to start a band. Because I heard my stepdad, his family was from here, and I found out that Creed had just gotten big out of here.
Right.
That little band Creed.
We've talked about this same line of events to some degree, and how much it was a part of. I mean, we all grew up here. That was the inspiration. You could make it. They were the example.
Yeah, this is great to get. It's like the same story, but with more people from the scene that were in different parts of it. I forgot all about the Late Night Library. I was there the last night I was here or there in Tallahassee before me and David moved to North Carolina. I remember being a frustrated young man who didn't have much luck with the ladies and was just trying to start a band. And I went out to the late night library, and I got so lucky with the ladies for whatever reason. And like this night, like this nerdy, long-haired, gross kid, and then I was like, I don't know if I want to leave. But we moved the next day. We loaded my car. I had a Ford Taurus. Dave and I had loaded my half stack, my suitcase, his backpack, and clothes, and we left. And that was like the year after that. It wasn't 2000. That was probably 2002. Because I was only 16 in 2000. I was just a baby.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 42, so it's 17 then. I guess. I think. We're basically the same age, as far as I'm concerned.
But speaking of shows, so back then, around that time, was my first concert, and I posthumously realized who the opener was, and we've talked about this before. The first show I ever went to, the girl that lived next door to me had a crush on me, and she bought me tickets to the Civic Center to see 311 and Sugar Ray, and this opening band that was heavy. I remember I wasn't really into the heavy stuff, but I really liked Finger 11, and this opening band was heavy. The singer had dreadlocks, and I was like, who is this? This band is like pretty heavy. It's cool. And that was the first live band I ever saw. And then when I looked up that tour, I realized that was Incubus.
I was saying, was that Incubus?
It was Incubus. I was like, the first band I ever saw was Incubus. It's so rad.
That's so cool.
And 311 is coming back to Tallahassee, like, soon.
Yeah, they're coming to the moon, this month, I believe, or
I
May. I think it's this month because it's not 311 and it's not 420. I was like
322. It's 322. They caught a double digit, but it's 11 days off.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I've ever seen 311. I think I have seen them one time. I can't remember where though. It might have been the moon.
That's where they came to the moon. I've seen them once, and it was at the moon. And
yeah,
it was cool. I was up in the balcony. I don't know. I felt like the energy. I wanted to kind of be down closer to it. It was a little quiet, to be honest with you. I don't know what was up with the moon that night, but I just didn't feel like they were pumping it as hard. I wanted to be closer to the action, and I'm totally satisfied sitting in great seats.
Yeah,
but there was just something about it. I wanted to feel it. I was like, something's not thumping to me. I want to get down there, but but it was cool. It was cool.
That's cool.
But
that comes with age.
Yeah, totally. Man, we've done over an hour. It's so cool getting to talk to you again, man. I'm really excited about your single out. Is great. You've got shows that you're playing currently with the Brown Goose. Yeah. And I'm very interested in these 5 songs whenever they come out. Maybe, around that time, if you're pushing them, you can come back on the show. We can talk about it. I'm very curious to hear it. I love funk. I love pop. I love rock and metal. I like it all. But I'm really curious to hear that.
Like the day it drops, let shoot us a link and let us know. We'll share it on the podcast, and I'll listen to it the day of, because I know that's important to get a little bit of momentum that first day. Yeah,
for sure, absolutely. I'll keep you guys posted for sure.
Cool, man. Awesome.
Yeah.
And if you want to send me when we get done, send us the links. We're gonna put them in our description and show notes and all that. And
cool.
We'll put this out. Like, this isn't live, by the way.
I didn't think so. Yeah.
I should have said that at the beginning. We'll put it out this weekend, man. So we'll be good to rock and roll. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me on, man. It's been a pleasure. It's great catching up with you guys.
You too.
You guys look good. You guys' spots look good as well. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah. We're having
Thanks,
fun.
bro.
Yeah. Awesome talking to you, man.
Oh. Awesome. Is it? I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm the one who ends it. All right, guys. Thanks for listening in. This has been the MuseCast, episode 67 with Barrence Dupree. Peace.
We're not fighting to bring back only humanity's creative forces, but the Muses as well. One song will not suffice, gentlemen. We need 4, a full rock EP.
Okay, man, on my 3 count, engage your pedal for transport. 1, 2, 3.
Ash.
Dick?